siamo nella biblioteca dell'Archiginnasio di Bologna. In occasione del ciclo Stasera Parlo Io, organizzato dalle librerie Coop Zanichelli, incontriamo Jeffery Deaver, celebre autore di romanzi thriller, in città per presentare il suo ultimo libro, October List. Is this your first time in Bologna?
No, I've been to Bologna 3 or 4 times before. I love it very much. Sadly, I've not been able to take a holiday here. I've always been on a book tour, but I always manage to get a day or so in extra to wander around the square, look at Neptune, see the wonderful stores and so forth, and enjoy the wonderful Bolognese food.
We were wondering, as a web radio, we've wanted to present the audience with podcasts of book reading sort of programs. And we were wondering what your general opinion was on audiobooks and maybe radio dramas.
Oh, fantastic. And it's curious you mentioned that because I have just written a 5-hour radio play for audible.com in America, and it is a book that well, I can't call it a book. It's a play. There'll be 20 actors or so, starring Alfred Molina, the character from the Spider-Man series. He was one of the villains in Spider-Man, and I had great fun doing it. So I really believe in audiobooks to a great extent.
Seeing as we're in Italy, a quick question about Italian writers. Are there any Italian writers who have influenced your personal style of writing?
Absolutely. I began reading Camilleri years ago. Of course, the Sicilian writer Montalbano is one of my favorite characters of all time. And I remember reading his books in English translations, of course, along with the books of Georges Simenon, my Greek character. And there's something about the French, and in the case of Camilleri, the Italian sensibility about psychology that I found fascinating. The plots are not necessarily all that fast-moving, but they bring a great deal of psychological insight into the criminal mind and the minds of detectives.
The name's Bond.
When I was asked to write the James Bond continuation novel that became Carte Blanche by the Ian Fleming estate, I was very confident that I could do a job that made the readers very happy, because I began reading Bond books when I was about 8 or 9 years old.
James Bond.
So I was very comfortable knowing the character when the estate contacted me. I did not look at any of the movies when I went to write the book. I did, however, reread the original books over and over again so I could get in my mind a sense of who the original James Bond was, because that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to create a book version of the movies. You know, we know Daniel Craig, we know Pierce Brosnan, we know Sean Connery. I wanted somebody entirely different. I wanted to go back to who the original Bond was, and that was my inspiration.
Very last question to finish on. Are there any tips that you could give to a young author or someone who is trying to get inside this kind of world, specifically someone who tries to write a thriller novel?
I'm quite opinionated about my thoughts on writing a quality novel, and I've learned this over the years. I've written 35 novels at this point and been making my living at it full-time for about 25 years. And here are just some general thoughts. First of all, you have to write for the reader. You have to look at what the reader wants, and that is generally a very fast-paced, lean story. That is, we don't want to digress, that continually asks the question in the reader's mind on every page or maybe every other page, what is going to happen next? End chapters on question marks. Raise characters who are very sympathetic. Make us wonder what's going to happen to them on every single page. And structure your story first. Don't sit down and start to write. Don't write a single word of the book until you've outlined it. You have to know where every single aspect of the story goes before you start to write. And remember what Hemingway said, there are no great writers, there are only great rewriters. You rewrite your manuscript 10, 20, 30, or what I do 60 or 70 times before it goes to the publisher. That sounds intimidating, but it isn't. If you're a craftsperson and you have a good idea, you will be a published author.